Tim, guess what? It's just gone 10 o'clock. It's Sunday. That can only mean one thing. And that one thing is so exciting. It's time for What a Week's News That Was, which is where we look at the week's news. The biggest news for me this week is the fact that I've pretty much got rid of that horrible cold I've had for the last couple of weeks. So that's a Brucey bonus. Still a bit hoarse every now and then. But other than that, yeah, we're pretty good to go. So shall we have a look at the news? Oh, I've just got an email. Let's see what's going on the emails. Oh, apparently I'm live on YouTube. Who knew? Oh yeah, well you, because you're watching. Anyway, big shout out to the regulars, T and well, everyone else's, and when they come on, we'll give you a shout out. If you want to say hello, join in the chat, give your opinion, even if we disagree. For example, was it Calderdale Top Cat last week who we disagreed with? Or disagreed with me? Can't remember who it were now. Someone got upset anyway. But yeah, it's about chatting about things. It's about looking at what's going on in the world, look what's going on locally, and just think, what the hell is going on? Who's in charge of what is going on? Why is everything that's going on so crap? Well, that's what we're going to try and find out. Although we won't find anything out, we'll just look at it and see where we're going. So let's basically start with the news from the week. So Monday, the 11th of November, was the first day of this week. And Match of the Day presenter Gary Lineker is finally going to quit the show in 2025 after 25 years of heading it. Don't watch it, but I don't like Gary Lineker, so I don't really care. But, you know, it's news. It was a main headline on the BBC, can't think why. Archbishop of Canterbury finally resigns as well. So 2 good resignations in one day. Just hope that Keir Starmer was the third one. Sadly not. Spoilers. Hashtag. But yeah, it was designed. The Archbishop of Canterbury resigned over the alleged cover-up of the sexual abuser from 2013, and he's apologised for it. So basically, he found out about one of the clergy members who was a prolific child abuser, who then moved to South Africa. But he found out about this in 2013 and didn't bother to tell anyone, although he thought he had done, but he hadn't, or he hadn't pursued it, or whatever. So basically, yeah. A bit like Keir Starmer, really, if you think about it. And this is where we go to before, wasn't it? This guy's dead now. Not the Archbishop of Canterbury. I mean, that would be a pretty significant way of resigning, wouldn't it? But no, the paedophile is dead. And funnily enough, when paedophiles die, it would appear that they become known paedophiles. Up to that point, they don't. And again, this is the idea that we've had recently, that it's because if someone famous, or infamous even, gets called out as a paedophile, they will just chuck everyone else famous under the bus with them. So, yeah. Daniel Khalif changes his plea to guilty for escaping Wandsworth Prison. You remember, he was the guy last year, or was it earlier on this year? It seems such a long time ago. Who broke out of prison, and lots of females said that he could... because he was quite handsome apparently, he could bunk down at their house and they'd keep him protected because he was quite a handsome hunk. Anyway, got caught on a canal side and has changed his plea to guilty. No, actually Justin Welby resigned on the 12th. I preempted. It was a premature resignation I had then. But he finally resigned officially on the 12th of November, which was Tuesday. A Russian female doctor is jailed for 5.5 years for bad-mouthing the war in Ukraine to a child's mother, who then reported him. Meanwhile, the nurse had 8 years after 2 posts on social media. It's almost as bad as living in Britain, isn't it? And living in Russia. The amount of controls you've got with the Stasi. Although we call them the Kirsy over here. For example, the journalist woman who had the police knock on her door on Remembrance Sunday because of a tweet she deleted over 12 months earlier and wouldn't tell her what it was. yeah, what is going on in this country? Well, people voted for Keir Starmer. You get what you vote for. Hi, Drew Frequency. Hope you're good. Sue Gray leaves the job she didn't start after leaving her last job a few weeks ago. So Sue Gray was the woman who ended up working for Labour after heading the Partygate inquiry and finding Boris and co guilty of everything, and then ended up working for the Labour Party. And then Keir Starmer thought, well, that might be a way of people might think that she's got a bit too much control and all that kind of thing after chucking Boris under the bus and everyone else. So he decided to let her go but give her another job, and now she's not took that job either. So Sue Gray, if you want someone for your Christmas shop, for the Christmas rush, I doubt she's available, but she's not very good with customer service. It's been a month since America demanded more aid and less civilian deaths in Gaza. Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF have not done pretty much anything other than carry on murdering people innocently. Keir is terrible. That's a polite way of putting it. If you look back on these before the election, I did say Keir Starmer was possibly the most dangerous person on the in the UK. I'm not saying something. But anyway, there you go. Wednesday the 13th, Donald Trump visits the White House. Biden invited him round, and they had a lovely chat in front of the fire. I don't know who wanted to throw who on the fire most, but there's something that's happened in the last few hours that might be directly linked to this meeting. But more of that in a bit. I mean, I've got no proof of any of this, but it just seems more than a coincidence. Meanwhile, Irfan Sharif claims a radical change of tact for the murder of his daughter. He said he beat her with a cricket bat and killed her by beating. He then fled the country, leaving his deceased daughter in the house, and then rang up the police whilst he was in Pakistan to say he killed her and where to find the body. I mean, ultimate coward. He needs to be locked up for life, as does his wife and her uncle. Not his wife's uncle, the daughter's uncle. And then there was rumours on Wednesday that there would be a pension shake-up the following day with Rachel Reeves, who's so talented as a Chancellor of the Exchequer. It's unbelievable. She makes Kwasi Kwarteng look like, I don't know, Elon Musk. Yeah, maybe not. Timothy West passes away aged 90. And the sad thing about that is he was married to Prunella Scales. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, I know. Basil, who played the ever-suffering wife of Basil Fawlty in the amazing, my favourite sitcom of all time, Fawlty Towers. But she's got dementia, and he's been looking after her, and they've been married for 60 odd years, and he's passed away at the age of 90, and you've got to feel for Prunella. How the hell is she going to cope with dementia and losing her husband of 60 odd years? It's just horrendous. Timothy West, people know him for lots of different things, but I remember him best for being the owner of the cotton mill in the comedy sitcom Brass back in the day. I really hope they repeat that, because Brass was so funny and ahead of its time as well. I think it was the 80s or early 90s. Who was it who played the maid and co-wrote it too? Hiya, Karen Lanks. Welcome. You're new. Prunella... No, not Prunella Scales. She did all the drawings and everything as well, didn't she? She was like the only sensible person in the whole show, which I thought was genius, again, at the time. And one of my favourite things about... I'll try and think of a name. One of my favourite things about the show was that John Cleese and herself obviously knew that times were changing. And there's a very famous scene where the Major comes up to the reception, and Basil's there, and they have this bit of a chat about a cricket match. I'm not going to go into details about it. If you know, you know. If you don't know, watch it, but put your lefty wokey hat to one side when you watch it. However, technically, it is making Connie Booth. There you go, Toff. Thank you. It's making the point that the Major was wrong. It's not admitting that what he was saying was correct. It was just showing how bigoted he was. Again, ahead of its time. But I watched it on iPlayer a couple of years ago now, before woke was a massive thing. And that scene had been filmed exactly the same, apart from the dialogue, which was entirely different. So they'd obviously filmed it and thought that using the words used would be unacceptable in the future. So while they were all there, they recorded another version, which was a lot less unwoke, and it was brilliant. Don't mention the war. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it. Stop mentioning the war. You started it. No, it didn't. Yes, you did. You invaded Poland. Yeah, it's just so fucking good. I need to have a binge watch of it. Fawlty Towers, because it's just absolutely hilarious. It even got the Ministry of Silly Walks in there as well, didn't it, in that point? But yeah, tragedy for Prunella Scales losing her husband, aged 90. They were more famous recently for doing canal journeys together, where the dementia just got worse and worse during the course of the filming. In a way, I kind of hope that she might be too far gone to actually know what's going on and her husband has passed away. In that way, it might make it easier for her. But I fear that she'll just be looking for him, and she's just gonna, pass away soon of, well, what they call it, not sorrow, but loss. It's just horrendous. What do you expect to see from the Turkey Hotel, the Taj Mahal? Yeah. I asked for a view of the sea. The sea's there, madam. It's between the sky and the ground. It's not good enough. Well, what were you expecting? Wildebeest majestically walking across the plain? Just absolute genius. I'm not a violent man, Mr. Fawlty. Yes, you are. Just absolute, you've got to watch. If you've never watched Fawlty Towers, make the effort of watching it. But if you can, try and watch a pre-walk one, particularly the episode that I was referring to, because it's just hilarious. And Prunella Scales was just absolutely nailed it as the ever-suffering wife of this buffoon who's running this hotel, trying to make it a really posh hotel, but just failing at every opportunity. Yeah, it's just brilliant. Anyway, Thursday the 14th, Donald Trump is picking his cabinet, equivalent of, and picks an anti-vaxxer, which is RFK Jr., as the health secretary. He's basically said anyone who took the vaccine is an idiot. And now he's going to be in charge of assuming he gets through a couple of bits and pieces, he's going to be in charge of the healthcare of America. What could possibly go wrong? The government of Bank of England says Brexit has badly affected trade, but we could be making more effort to reinstate deals. Now, the Bank of England, as far as I'm aware, should not be political in any way, shape or form. For him to say that Brexit was wrong is wrong. It's not his opinion to do that. He's not a politician. And it already looks like the Labour Party, and particularly Keir, are basically trying to break the Brexit and get it back to what it was. Oh, JB Sports want me to buy more Mackenzie t-shirts. And why wouldn't they? Because I'm so gorgeous when I wear them. Wes Streeton is criticised over saying he will not vote for assisted dying bill. Now, this is a bill that's going through Parliament. It's a private member's bill, therefore it's not from a political party, which means that all political MPs, all MPs and all that, have got a free vote, so they can vote whichever way they want over this. Wes Streeton, who's the Health Secretary, says he doesn't believe it. He thinks it's the thin end of a wedge, and I'm kind of with him. I'm also kind of with it as well. I think, you see we often talk about, if you die, you want it to be quick, don't you? You want it to be in your sleep, or, I don't know, hit by a bus, or, something where you don't suffer for ages. I mean, don't want to die, don't get me wrong, I want to live forever. But let's be honest, no one's ever done that yet, so it's unlikely I'll be the first. But it is one of them weird things where, at the moment, it's, if you've only got 6 months left to live, you're terminally ill and you're in pain, you need to get 2 independent doctors to say that yes, you're of sound mind and you've agreed that you want to do this, and then you've got to go and see a High Court judge, and then they've got to agree to it as well, and then you've got to be able to inject the drugs yourself. No one else can do it for you. So it seems like there's plenty of, precautions there, but then you look at Canada, and now you get a cold, you might end up being euthanized. So yeah, it's a thin one. Farage says there's a big cover up on Southport. Well, obviously, as we found out with the latest news a couple of weeks ago, that he had Al Qaeda information on his phone, on his computers and documents, and had made ricin. I mean, that's not what you do, is it? It takes 6 months to get a doctor's appointment. That's a very good point. So if you've got 2 of them, you've only got 6 months to live. You've got to wait a year. Yeah, the whole thing's flawed. Just vote against it. Friday the 15th. 5 found guilty of the murder of 2 teenagers earlier in the year. They were both slaughtered with knives and machetes, and it was mistaken identity, which doesn't make it alright. Hopefully these scumbags will stay in prison forever. Of course, with Keir Starmer, they'll probably get let loose in a couple of weeks to free up the prisons for people who've said something slightly offensive on Instagram or whatever. The economy grows by 0.1%. Rachel Reeves is still upbeat about it, even though that's the first time that they've been in charge and it's gone down quite a considerable amount. The one before was, I think, 0.7%, and they're expecting it to be 1 point something, and it was 0.1. It's only going to go lower because, as a potential employer, I am not taking anyone on because it's just too expensive now. Minimum wage going up, and then NI going up as well that employers have to pay. My income isn't growing from people coming into the shop, therefore you'd have to put your prices up, which affects inflation. Which also destroys the economy. Davina McCall has an operation on a benign brain tumour. I'm not an expert. I've never said I'm an expert on these kind of things, but if it's benign, then why have an operation on it? If it's just there, just monitor it or something. I don't know. John Lee Mesurier died on the 15th of November many years ago. Okay. Yeah, he was. He played the sergeant. He was the uncle. Well, the uncle of Pike. He was his dad, but we never found out for real. Probably. Saturday the 16th of November. Welsh farmers protest at the Welsh Labour Conference in Llandudno. And they're expecting to meet Keir Starmer to discuss their grievances, but apparently he snuck out the back door. The reason for that was his car was parked at the back door. Yeah. Keir Starmer not only is a wet lettuce, he's also a coward. Why doesn't he face the people he's actually pissing off? I don't understand it. Basically, we need farmers more than we need Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves. We need, more so now than ever, we need production of food to be secure and in this country. We do not need to rely on other people bringing food in. And what they're planning, £1 million. If a farm's worth more than £1 million and the people who own it die, they have to pay 20% inheritance tax, which of course is a hell of a lot of money. It's £200,000. How many people have got that? Farmers barely break even. The compromise I'd come up with is, if they sell the land, so if they sell land to builders or someone else like that, then they pay 20% on whatever they get. But if it's just been handed down to generations to carry on our food production, then they don't pay anything. Because rather than a couple of how much money would it make in a year? How many farmers die in a year that have farms over £1 million? I don't think it'd be anywhere near £1 billion. It'd probably be a few £1,000,000. But they just seem to be pissing everyone off. And it's just, in a way, it's brilliant that they're upsetting everyone, because it just shows how bad they are and how out of touch they are about everything. But you've got to hold your hands up and say, you know what, we got this one wrong. If they're selling it to make money, the land, then they have to pay inheritance tax, or the equivalent of 20%. But if it's just been handed down to the next generation and we're growing it as a farm, then we carry on as we were. In fact, one of the things that's really annoyed me was when we were in the EU, we used to pay the EU a substantial amount of money every week or every month. I think, was it 375 on the side of that bus, £1 million a week or a day or something stupid. And for that, we got subsidies for our farmers off the EU. So my argument was, or what I thought was going to happen was, when we left the EU, which I voted for, the farmers would still get that money, but because we get less money than what we paid into the EU, then we'd have more money to spend on things like the NHS. Although obviously that's not really worked, because we've got too many managers, too many chiefs, not enough Indians. But the farmers would still be subsidised. But not only did that not happen, but we're now kicking them in the knackers. We're practically gelding them. And it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We need food to be grown in Britain. We do not need wind farms. We do not need fields and fields and fields filled with solar panels. It's absolute nonsense. But then again, what do I know? The UN... the UN... what's that? Run School is hit by the IDF yesterday, as is a shelter, which was an area where refugees were told to go to, was also hit by the IDF. Now, the lying scumbag war criminal that is Benjamin Netanyahu, basically, he's just carrying on the work of previous dictators, has said that they are using targeted munitions, targeted strikes. They destroyed a 5-storey building, killing dozens of family members. Now, they can do targeted strikes, as I say, every week. They did it in Beirut. They hit a room in a hotel on the 2nd floor that didn't do any other damage to the hotel, killing a Hamas or Hezbollah member. Top marks, well done, you can do it. When they're in Gaza, they just level buildings. It is a land grab, it is ethnic cleansing. It's not genocide, but it is ethnic cleansing. There's a massive difference. Meanwhile, 8 dead in a stabbing in a China school. And a woman's body was found in the boot of a car in London. Inquiries were continuing. The body was found on Thursday, but it seems that the woman had been identified as a woman from up north, over 100 miles away. That brings us to today, which is the 17th, which is a Sunday. Russia targets Ukraine power grid in the largest attack in months, with 120 missiles and 90 drones. At least 10 people dead, but this has only just kind of happened when the news was breaking, so I imagine a lot more than that. Of course, you're not allowed to target infrastructure that is going to kill civilians. So they've now caused power blackouts and destroyed quite important energy substations, etc. in Ukraine, which basically means that unless they're repaired quickly, people are going to freeze to death. I mean, maybe your Labour should do this. Just kill us all off. I mean, rather than just stopping the £300 for pensioners, why don't you just blow up some of our substations dotted around and kill us all off? We'll all freeze to death. But yeah, another war criminal. Vladimir Putin. Absolute scum. Meanwhile, a 24-year-old woman, her husband is the prime suspect in her murder. This was the woman who was tragically found in a car. It turns out that the murder may have happened earlier on this month, which doesn't even bear thinking about what they found in the car. The car was driven down to the outskirts of London, and with they fear that the husband has fled the country, so it's now an international manhunt. Hopefully they get him, hopefully they can find out it was him who did it, and they can punish him duly. Meanwhile, there's more attacks by the IDF in Gaza, destroying a 5-story building and a refugee camp, which is what I was talking about. And but Biden has now said, this is breaking news. Biden has said that he's going to allow Ukraine to use the weapons that America supplies to target military targets in Russia, quite a long way into Russia. Now this could go one of two ways. Now if the target and they hit the military targets that they're aiming for, fantastic. The problem is if there's a misfire, or if Russia decides to blow up an apartment block and kill a few of its own people and then blame Ukraine, we've got World War III. So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, which brings me back to what I was talking about earlier, which is Biden met Trump at the Oval Office, and they had a private chat as well as a public chat. And I'm wondering if Trump has said to Biden, look, you give permission for Ukraine to strike into Russia. When I take over, I'll remove that, or I'll threaten to not remove that and try and stop this war. And Biden's kind of gone along with it because he's just like a nodding dog at the minute, isn't he? Or maybe Biden's actually grown a pair. I mean, you know, it could be he's actually thinking, you know what, this war's going on long enough. When Trump gets in, he's going to absolutely kid up, so I'm going to sort it out now. But either way, we will wait with breath of bated to see what actually occurs. And meanwhile, Biden is now in the lungs of the world, which is the Amazon rainforest. And he gave a speech there saying that they're going to give lots more money to replant the Amazon rainforest, which is great because we all know as soon as Trump gets in, he's going to buy loads of the Amazon rainforest and turn it into a massive golf course, because that's what he likes, golf. The government have urged farmers to look calmly at the farmers, calmly. Get off my land. Excuse me, sir, would you kindly get off my land, please? No. Urge farmers to look calmly at the plans for the inheritance tax hike that they've got. And also, basically begging them not to spray the House of Parliament with lots of manure. I think if you do start doing that, you do go down the route, as someone said on one of the TV shows earlier on, you do kind of go down the route of just stop oil, which is absolute nonsense, what they come up with. But we wait with breath and to just see what actually happens. And it's all kicking off on Tuesday. So this will be fun, won't it? The day before PMQs. Anyway, that brings us to the news that makes you go, Or to put it another way, the news that makes you go, oh, yeah, that's funny. And various other things that go on. So, what's the first thing we've got? The first thing we've got, to be fair, is, where are we? There we go. First thing we've got is literally a squirrel's arse. Not even joking. There, ladies and gentlemen, I give you a squirrel's arse. There's a reason for that. It's not just, I have this thing about squirrel's arses. This was basically footage from a camera around a cat's neck. And it says, Mr. Kittens, the cat, has morning cardio. And he's basically chasing this squirrel around the area where they live. It goes on for quite a lot of shots, but then it ends up with a squirrel running up. Thankfully, it looks like it's just a telegraph pole rather than a power pole. Otherwise, I think both of them then end up deaded. Now, I was talking before about why we're wanting to build stuff on, farmland where we could use, grow food and animals and stuff like that. Well, in China, they've been building all these roads. But look at this. They're building roads without damaging farmers' fields and the ponds. So all the rice and everything that they grow there can still grow whilst the vehicles are travelling above. And they've not done any damage. I don't know how they've done it, but they've not done any damage to any of the crops or anything. Whereas, look at HS2, just basically level everything. And it just causes loads of havoc and chaos and carnage. Meanwhile, toy giant Mattel says it deeply regrets an error in the packaging of its wicked movie-themed dolls, which mistakenly linked toy buyers to a pornographic website. Apparently the Wicked Witch of the West now is black, which is great, although she's still green, so that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, they got a QR code, and if you scan the QR code, it's meant to take you to something cute and lovely, and it takes you to an adult porn site. Meanwhile, Jimmy Carr said, if my grandmother knew how much I spent on a funeral, she will be spinning in her ditch. Think about it. It's hilarious. Now, last week we looked at Donald Trump's son, who is 18.5 foot tall. And it was all a bit of it's just like Gary Barlow. Hello, it's me, Gary Barlow. I'm a national treasure. And I've also got a very tall son. Look how tall my son is. He's that tall, he catches his head on the sun. So there was this big thing about tall sons. So we had Trump's son being incredibly tall, and then we had loads of memes. He's got an IQ of 17. I've got an IQ of 17. But then all this, Gary Barlow taking his son trick-or-treating. There's a very badly photoshopped picture there of a tiny Gary Barlow with a massive scary image. And then you've got Gary Barlow and his son having a conversation, which I think is taken from that film with Matt Damon, because that looks like Matt Damon on it. Although I've never seen it, obviously, because I don't watch films. And then you got this one. Gary Barlow telling off his son for leaving his trainers in the hallway. Oh, it's not even Gary Barlow, it's me, Gary Barlow. I'm a national treasure. I've got an IQ of 170. My teacher told me not to worry about spelling because in the future there will be autocorrect, and for that I am eternally grapefruit. Sorry. Good tip here. Tired of boiling water every time you make pasta. Boil a few gallons at the beginning of the week and freeze it for later. Genius. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has officially surpassed silver's market cap for the first time in history. So if you bought Bitcoin back in the day, you can now cash in and make loads of money. Old MacDonald had a farm. Had. Because the government had taken it off them. Meanwhile in Wigan, councillors in Wigan have been given an update on the £50 million transformation of the historic Hay Hall after being warned not to discuss the controversy over how one of the major contractors has left the project. I mean, Wigan Council, what could possibly go wrong? Yeah, watch Wigan Watch. A hell of a lot. Man who ran illegal football streaming service is jailed. Meanwhile, people with indecent images of children are given a caution. You can't upset the Premier League football clubs, can you, or Sky? But don't forget, here we go. There's a certain Premier League football club that give a lot of freebies to a certain Prime Minister. And maybe he's pulled a few strings saying, I want severe, instant sentences for these people, these scumbags, because that's how they talk. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Anyway, Biden and Trump and that fire I was talking about. An iconic photo. The existing president meets both his predecessor and successor. And it's the same person. You could say that about people from St. Helens. Here's my wife and my sister. I'm joking. You're from St. Helens, I'm joking. Most people say that about other places, so, you know. Some pretty pictures of animals. A photographer catches deep-sea creatures during black water dive. Now these creatures are pretty amazing. They're almost sci-fi, aren't they? I mean, that was captured in the very deep sea in Florida. This was captured in Indonesia. I don't know why they're all blue and all glow, but anyway, maybe it's just the flashy users. And this is a flying fish in Florida. I mean, what's the point of being a flying fish if you're in the dark depths of the ocean? It'd take you a week to get up there, wouldn't it? Meanwhile, one of my favourite characters is Philomena Kunk. If you haven't watched the shows yet, please do. They are hilarious. For years, homosexuality was illegal and gay men were sent to prison. Whereas punishment, they had to share a tiny room with a man for years. That'll teach them, won't it? Yeah, the dark years of British law. Gaza has solved the next match of the day host conundrum. I reckon Alan Shearer will take over because he loves a bit of money. He's so tight he only cries from one eye. I don't think Gaza said that, but it is quite funny. Alleged pink cocaine plot. A Sydney man in Australia has been charged over an alleged plot to import 252 kilograms of a dangerous illicit drug cocktail known as pink cocaine into Australia. The substance, also known as Tusi, commonly contains a mix of ketamine, MDMA, and rarely contains any cocaine. So you'd be like, I'd sue him. I ordered cocaine and you sent me ketamine and MDMA. It doesn't have the ingredients that I ordered. I don't know if the cat is dead or alive until I watch inside the box. Meow. Shut up. Yeah. The old, is a cat dead or alive when it's in a box? Come under conundrum. Under Henry VIII, homosexuality was a capital offence. Under Elizabeth II, it was made legal. Under Keir Starmer, it will become compulsory. It's been a slippery slope ever since we decided we'd turn a blind eye. Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. And now all of our boys will have to speak like Graham Norton and all our girls will be forced to play rugby. Bit extreme, but you kind of get where they're coming from. Talking of extreme, what the hell was the point of this? Nintendo predicted this in 1987, and this was the fight between Mike Tyson and some absolute loser YouTuber. You can catch me on YouTube doing stuff. Jeez. Meanwhile, no words needed. Double yellow lines next to the curb. Problem is, the double yellow lines are actually closer to each other than they are to the actual curb that they're near. Fantastic. You remember Toy Story, where all the toys came alive when there was no one around to watch them? Well, did you know that fruit do it as well, particularly tomatoes? Yeah, it's open to debate whether they're fruit or not. Just caught my tomatoes trying to sneak out. It looks like he's trying to catch up with his friends. Sorry. Here we go. World's most dangerous cities ranked, featuring one Aussie location. One Australian city has narrowly cracked the top 20 cities considered to be some of the most dangerous places on the planet. Now, which Australian city would that be, do you think? Now, I'll be honest, I know the answer, and I wouldn't have described it as a city. I describe it as a town in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, here we go. Are you ready? Alice Springs in Australia comes in at number 18. Number 1 is in South Africa. Number 2 is in South Africa. Number 5 is in South Africa. Name a country you wouldn't want to go to. Name a country that you thought would be in the top 5. Yeah, America. They may be in between 5 and 18. I would imagine New York and various other cities, maybe even Detroit, places like that would be in that area, but I don't know because I didn't look it up. But Albuquerque, hot shot, jumping for Albuquerque, is in at number 20. Would any British cities be in there? Probably Bristol, weirdly, because Bristol seems to be the crime capital of the UK at the moment, sadly, particularly between youngsters and teenagers. Jake Paul wins the fight against Mike Tyson. So, a 20-something-year-old, incredibly fit, as in, not to look at fit, but fit man beats up a near pensioner. Well, there you go then. Does that remind you of something that happened earlier on this year? And someone's said, time for Jake Paul to start fighting blokes his own age. Lots of murders in Chicago. Yeah, exactly. And that is the female boxer from the Olympics who may or may not be female. Do you suffer from premature trejaculation? The act of erecting one's festive decor in any month prior to December. Premature trejaculation. So if you suffer from that, there is a treatment, which is just wait till the 1st of December. Save this farmer from Keir Starmer. Food doesn't grow on shelves. And this was the protest outside the Labour Party, Welsh Labour Party conference that Keir Starmer attended and then snuck off very quickly. Controversy about the referee who allegedly slagged off Jurgen Klopp and was a bit racist as well whilst at a party, which was filmed and then put online, and then also allegedly snorting cocaine. So this is David Coote on VAR. They just put basically a line of powder to for the VAR camera to have a look at. Sorry. This is a takeaway called Thai, as in Thai, Tanic. So Titanic cuisine. And then someone's written underneath, my heartburn will go on. Yeah, fantastic. This is quite cute in a weird way. First day to school, and the first day to school as a teacher. So that's a young boy, 5 or 6, going to school on his first day. And then there's a picture of him as a grown man going to school on his first day as a teacher, trying to strike the same pose and doing a decent job about it. I think the photographer was in slightly the wrong angle, but other than that, very good. Talking of wrong angles, first thing that comes to mind, don't cross the streams. But the first one I come to. And the award to best resignation goes to a handwritten note. I'm quitting to finally follow my dream of not working here anymore. I did something similar. It's very childish, but the manager I worked for at the time, who was the manager of Dixon's in Wigan, was an absolute arsehole. And I got a job. I got picked up by Game, so I got a job working for Game. So I handed my notice in, and it was basically, please take this notice seriously on one bit of paper, and the next bit of paper, because I'm only going to say this once, next bit of paper, I've had enough working for you, next bit of paper, because you're the worst manager I've ever been with, or something like that. This is my 2 weeks notice. Feel free to sack me now so I can have 2 weeks holiday. It's been absolutely despicable working for you. I wish you nothing but ill health in future. And I felt great about it, and all the other stuff. I thought it was brilliant as well. But it's very childish, very immature. So I kind of feel for the person who wrote that, because I'm like, yep, been there, done that. Breaking, Jake Paul calls out Jimmy Carter after latest win against Mike Tyson. Jimmy Carter being nearly 100, I think he is 100 years old now, and not able to move. So yeah, people taking the mickey out of Jake Paul, and rightly so, because the guy's an absolute moron. Happy 757th birthday to Sabine Finneran. Best wishes on April the 27th. It's an English actress. She made a screen debut in 1987 independent film Rita, Sue and Bob 2, and subsequently worked consistently in television drama, including roles in Coronation Street, clocking off, and The Amazing Mrs. Pritchard. And then Dixon's closed down. It did. So did Game, though, to be fair, but I'd left long before then. Keir Starmer, this is not a real Keir Starmer, obviously, but this is a parody, I would assume. The following songs can still be played at home if everyone consents, in brackets, but they are not to be played under any circumstances in any public holiday celebrations. So they include Last Christmas, Fairy Tale of New York and White Christmas. But because everything is so wokified, you can't even spell the word Christmas anymore. And then someone says, I'd love to see him try to stop Clarkson playing these songs in his pub. Got my first PC from Dixon's. I sold a lot of PCs when I was at Dixon's, and they were like, cheapest one was like 2 or 3 grand. And some were at 8, 9, 10 grand. And they were good at the time, but you look at them now and you've got, this mouse has got more technology in it than the PC did that was 10 grand. It's just ridiculous. Something I've never done. Peeing in the shower is good for us and for the planet, say health boffins. 8 in 10 Brits admit to spending a penny whilst they wash, but now doctors say it's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, they could be doing the world a big favour. How? I just don't get that at all. Why would you you're meant to be getting clean, so why would you pee in the shower? It's just filth and disgusting. It's like people who pee in the bath. I don't even get out of the bath to have a pee. Dodgy Fire Stick Dad was helping the poor like a Premier League Robin Hood. A Robin Hood whose lawyer claimed he was providing a service has been jailed for 3 years after he sold dodgy fire sticks so people could watch Premier League football matches. Aww. But yeah, don't mess with the Premier League. Or Keir Starmer. 3 years. But it'll be out in 2. It'll be out in about 3 weeks, to be fair. A US government has been retrieving alien spacecraft since World War II, claims a source. A source, expert, claims that US involvement with UFO retrieval goes back as far as World War II, and it involves CIA and other parts of the US defence sector as well. Yet we've never found out about it because no one's ever whistleblown it. Now, we've seen the tragic images in Spain recently, Valencia and all that kind of thing, with these flash floods, cars getting washed away, people tragically losing their lives, homes and businesses being devastated. So what are you going to do? You're going to try and protect your property. Cars wrapped in plastic and tied to lampposts ahead of extreme weather in Spain. After severe floods in other parts of Spain recently, some residents in Malaga have planned ahead by securing their cars with cling film and ropes in anticipation of similar scenes. I mean, what's the fucking point? Even if your car doesn't get washed away, if there's a flood and the water goes past a certain point of height, your car's knackered anyway. All you're doing is adding to global pollution with all the plastic that you've wrapped around the car that'll get washed away. And does anyone think cling film is strong enough to hold a car against a lamppost? And even if a rope is strong enough to hold a car against a lamppost, is a lamppost strong enough to hold the weight of itself and a car against a flood? No. All 134 home-based stores at risk as brand heads for administration. Sainsbury's already purchased 10 stores earlier this year, with most of these currently being turned into supermarket branches, with the future of the rest of the UK's home-based branches under threat. However, since then it turns out that the Range has come in and bought a few. They seem to be taking over as the Mike Ashley of buying businesses that have failed, like Game, for example. That's going well, isn't it, Mike? Half of UK to be hit by a 410-mile blanket of snow. I mean, that is deep, isn't it? As Brits brace for a big chill. New weather maps have shown that a huge band of snow is set to hit the UK, with the Met Office issuing a yellow weather warnings for ice across England and Wales. Will we can get any? We rarely do, so I'm not holding my breath. World War III fears as Ukraine months from building city-destroying atomic bomb. Ukraine officials reportedly believe the country could build a nuclear bomb in a matter of months that would be able to obliterate a city in Russia, according to a briefing note. That would be World War III. And I think Ukraine know that as well. So, Elon Musk creates a multi-million-pound Texas compound for his 11 kids and their mothers. Elon Musk has bought a huge 27.5 million property in Texas, which reportedly includes 2 homes behind a giant mansion, in a bid to help his children spend more time together and they can discuss how bonkers their dad is. That's nice, isn't it? UFO sightings above UK mapped as US Congress told flying saucers are real. Here's where the United Kingdom extraterrestrial visitors are more likely to be seen, according to eyewitness accounts and other research gathered together by our data team. Basically, people who are drunk on drugs are just mad. But more UFO stuff, it must be real. Pentagon releases details of 757 UFO reports and blames Elon Musk's. The Pentagon's latest report on UFOs has revealed hundreds of new reports of unidentified and unexplained aerial phenomena. But they reckon it might be Elon Musk coming up with some fantastic new mystical flying machine. Gran hauled off a plane by armed cops after refusing to pay £9 for a tuna sandwich. Lily Ifield, 79, I'll be honest, she looks good for 79, claims she was served a soggy and cold sarnie on the Jet 2 flight from Stansted to Bodrum, but things turned ugly when she refused to pay for it. I mean, why would you want a warm tuna sandwich? I mean, cold tuna sandwich sounds delightful, but you wouldn't want it soggy. So I'm kind of with her on that. I'll be like, look, give me a sandwich that's actually edible and I'll pay for it. Until then, leave me alone. But no, she got arrested. Brit set for several days of snow as Met Office on about to unleash warnings. She was drunk. What? Oh, is that why it was soggy? She spilled a drink on it. That makes sense. The Met Office has warned Brits to expect a notably early winter cold spell next week. So UK faces the risk of snow and ice with a yellow alert in place. Who needs alerts when you've got yellow ones? Don't know what that means. Let's move on. Tourists flee stately home after Henry VIII's wife makes chilling appearance. Catherine of Aragon, whom Henry VIII ditched for Anne Boleyn, has been appearing to Brits visiting the Hertfordshire stately home, giving folk the heebie-jeebies. I mean, seriously. Seriously. It's not true. Ghosts don't exist. Scientists send human sperm into space to test chances of populating Mars. I'm not an expert. I think they need more than just sperm alone. Scientists have started looking into scenarios which could arise if space travel become more widespread. One experiment saw them delving into the chances of having a space baby. I'm sure there are easy ways of finding out if you can get pregnant in space rather than just taking a tub of sperm up there. I mean, that's just bonkers. North Pole shift towards Russia has slowed down and phones could be affected. The North Pole has been moving towards the largest country in the world since the early 19th century, and the movements could eventually play havoc with people's smartphones. But why? We all know that the magnetic North Pole is not a stable thing. The geographic North Pole, which is where people go to, is. Yeah. Even the North Pole doesn't want to go to Russia. That's how bad Russia is. Incredibly rare harbinger of doom fish found washed up on a popular beach. The oarfish, a deep-sea creature linked to Japanese mythology and natural disasters, has been found washed up on the Golden Coast for the second time this year. So it's that rare, it's happened twice. Apparently it also happened just before the tsunami in Japan, hence the re-interest in it. But the good news is nothing's happened. A man wakes up in hospital to find surgeons removed the wrong leg in huge blunder. Jason Kennedy was left horrified after he woke up from surgery to discover the wrong leg had been amputated. While a review is underway, he has now accepted that his left leg is gone. Don't think I have much choice really, but no, that's horrendous, isn't it? You go in, one would assume that there'd be some visible reason for removing a leg. And therefore, if you had two legs on view, you would think, well, that one's a dodgy one because it's got, whatever on it that we need to get rid of, like, maybe a bone sticking out of it or something, I don't know. So we'll chop that one off and we'll leave that one because that one looks alright. But no. Ghostly ship of death that rises out of the mist warns of imminent tragedy. The ship of death is said to rise out of a strange mist on the Platte River in Wyoming and is believed to be a sign that someone is due to die on the day it is spotted. spoilers. I mean, spoilers. Someone dies every day of the year. Somewhere. So the fact this ghostly shit appears means all, really, doesn't it? So, yeah, absolute nonsense. Anyway, that was the news that makes you go, Well, there was no there this week, to be fair. Which brings us to breaking news. Our news is breaking left, right and centre. The Great British Pound is dropping against the Japanese yen by, it's gone down 1.6%, literally in the last couple of hours. Households in England dealt huge blow as millions faced £3,000 tax bill. Snow fears tonight as Met Office issues a warning. Matthew Wright blames farmers for Rachel Reeves' hated inheritance tax grab. Trump has said to have already planted seeds of his own political demise. That's people who don't believe in him. Keir Starmer defences jet setting as he embarks on the 15th trip abroad. So Keir Starmer, is trying to make us all green and go electric and all that nonsense, is on his 15th abroad trip in private jets. And he thinks that's alright. Do as I say, not as I do. Farmers are protesting by dumping rubbish. Far-right groups plan to hijack farmers' protests in London against tax changes. Canada's Prime Minister predicts when war in Ukraine could end. Protesters are gathering outside an Altrincham hotel over arrival of 300 asylum seekers. I thought the Labour government weren't going to have any hotels anymore. Oh yeah, there we go. Experts explain how pensioners can legally avoid inheritance tax on pensions. Okay, but that'll soon be filled in, won't it? Woke people are saying put cigarette-style warnings on bacon, says a top Labour donor. I bet it's Lord Ali, who's Muslim, doesn't eat bacon. Yeah. 10 effective tips for buying a car. Number 1, don't buy an electric one. International manhunt launched for husband of woman found murdered in a car boot. We've already covered that. King Richard III's given Yorkshire accent as voice recreated using state-of-the-art technology. That's when they found his skeleton. We've already said this, but it was breaking news. Joe Biden proves Ukraine use of long-range missiles to strike inside Russia. Israel kills Hezbollah media chief who had become face of the terror group. Anton Deck joke about Rooney Vardy trial as I'm a Celebrity 2024 kicks off, which of course obviously I'm not watching because I never watch it. Sir Keir Starmer to push for a pragmatic relationship with China's Xi Jinping at the G20 summit. The Met Office is extending its snow and ice warnings. Pope urges investigation to determine whether Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. Well, I can save them a lot of trouble. They haven't committed genocide in Gaza, but they have committed war crimes and ethnic cleansing, which is not the same thing. Europe's economic powerhouse is imploding and it leaves Britain dangerously exposed. No, we knew this was going to happen, which is why we left. Keir Starmer, vast majority of farmers will not be hit by inheritance tax change, he says. Farmers have hoarded land for too long. Inheritance tax will bring new life to rural Britain. I don't think hoarding land is really a thing. I think the people who've hoarded the land the most are the Church of England and the royal family. I think they've got more land than farmers, so tax the count of them. Major health warning issued over tyre pollution, forcing UK to launch investigation. This is the fact probably that, hang on a minute, these cars that are really heavy because they've got electric batteries in them are actually getting through tyres quicker, which means there's more rubber dust going down on the roads. Oh, who thought that would happen? Irish comedian and Father Ted actor dies. Don't recognise him. Sleep mistake that could lead to kidney failure and blindness for 4.4 million people. Apparently, cruel twist in Rachel Reeves' pension death tax plot. We'll find out what that is at a later date. Disease X, is it the next pandemic? Starmer brags his dad's with a toolmaker, so why is he hitting us with taxes? Respected think tank boss blasses Rachel Reeves' budget raid as ludicrous. Is Keir Starmer winning the war on people smuggling gangs? No. The problem you've got is, and the Wigan Council did this, we had a lot of pigeons in Wigan Town Centre. So they did some humane catching of the pigeons in cages that they can get in but can't get out of. These cages were then taken away and the pigeons were killed. And all that happened was the pigeons that were in the park nearby thought, it's going to be very quiet over there. Flew over to investigate, and all of a sudden they move in. You just get, whenever you get rid of something, it's replaced by something else, another pest. In that case it was the pigeons, in this case it's smuggling gangs. And how many smuggling gangs has he smashed? Okay, he stopped a few bloody, well he hasn't, the Europeans have stopped a few bloody boats and a few outboard engines being transported to France. Big hurrah. We need to sort out the people who are here and put a deterrent on people wanting to come here in the first place. That's what we need to be doing. And it turns out that Donald Trump is possibly looking at Rwanda for his illegal migrants. You couldn't make this up, could you? NASA left fearing catastrophic failure after a leak found on International Space Station. That doesn't sound good. Oh, that's it. Oh, hang on, we've got more. What's going on there? Let's have a look. Wait for it to come round again. So see what you guys are saying, and then we'll go back to that. Oh, the pigeon in Elder's shop a few years ago. Yeah, the one that walked through the shop had a good look round. Become almost a regular. I think, to be fair, I think that was one that was actually killed because it was a friendly pigeon. And obviously it would thought, oh, food, and oh, that's a nice looking cage, we'll go in there and have some grub. And then it ended up deaded. Tragedy. The FTSE's down 350 as well, so the economy's going well at the minute. Pigeon. What's that, money markets? Yeah, so the FTSE 100 is down 0.9, the FTSE 250 is down 0.23. So let's have a look in a month. Right, so in a month it's gone from a high of 462843 and it's currently on 4456, so it's gone down 200 points in the last month, and it tanked when the budget come out and it went down to 4456. So yeah, they're handling the economy really well. Well done, government. You're doing really good. Let's have a look. I don't want to look at that. Go away. Where's currencies? There we go. Can we change the thing? We'll go for a month. So to be fair, the currency went down to 118 and it's currently on, that was when the budget was announced, it's currently on 119, so it's gone up a cent since the budget, but it is dropping again. It did go a little bit higher, but it is coming down, and that's against the euro. Against the US dollar, it's just plummeted. Right, so against the US dollar it was 1285, so 1.285, and it's now currently 1261, so it's gone down 20 cents since the budget, so that's going well. Australian dollar, let's be honest, it's worth naff all. No, it's gone down on the Australian dollar as well. It's worth 1952, 1.952. When before the budget was announced, it was 1957. So it's not gone down a lot, but it's gone down a couple of 20 odd Australian cents, which is like about 30p. Going to get 1 centimetre of snow on Tuesday, apparently. UK City hands out free bus passes to asylum seekers while other passengers pay £4.50. What's that? UK households told to charge phones and buy batteries and candles before Monday. We're going to have power cuts, are we? I mean, that would just add everything to everything else, wouldn't it? Cinemas in crisis. Tax changes could lead to venue closures across the UK. Met Office issues update as 15-hour snow and ice warning hits Greater Manchester, and we are covered in the. It's from Hull to Blackpool, and all points in between. Sunak was urged not to hold early election by top Tory advisor, but did it anyway, doing his Max Headroom impression when he got soaked to the skin. Some rugby match. Da, 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 da. Russia betrayed by North Korea. Oh. Brexit reset needs to move UK as close as possible to EU. Starmer is warned. No, Starmer's going that way anyway. RBC Ukraine. 2 bomb strikes Israeli Prime Minister's residence. Now, I've never heard of them, so I'm not holding that to being true, but it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. Anyway, that is it. We've just covered an hour, which is about REIT. We've had 39 views, average is 13.1. We've got 11 people watching at the minute. We've had 5 likes. So don't forget, thank you very much. Don't forget, you can disagree with me. You don't have to agree with me when I say stuff. Not had many chatters tonight. We normally have more people chatting, but we've had Dream Frequency, Karen Lanks, who's new, Toffs TV, and that's it. Entertaining, yes. I mean, the news is bloody awful, but we can find some light relief in it somewhere. And if I give my opinion, get people thinking. And I also say to people, you know, I'm not trying to brainwash people into thinking how I think. I'm giving you my thoughts. So you can then think, well, hang on a minute, you know, this is what I'm being told by A, B and C, or my mate, or my mum, or my dad, or my missus, or my husband, or whatever. But I never thought of it like that before. You know, like the paedophile one. Why are paedophiles called out when they're dead? Well, that's probably because if they're famous, they could call out other famous paedophiles who are not dead, which would just open a huge can of worms. That kind of thinking. That's what it's about, this. It's about just opening people's minds into things. You know, I don't claim that I'm one of them conspiracy theorists and all that kind of nonsense. Although some of the stuff I come out with is a bit conspiracy theoristy. But yeah, it's all part of the fun. So yeah, if you've enjoyed it, then please subscribe and don't forget to watch next week. Next week is normal. The week after, it might be on a Saturday. It might not be, but it might be. I'll let you know. But yeah, if you click the notification bell, you'll get notifications anyway. Dream Frequency, you have a good week as well. I'll be back live possibly tomorrow. I don't know if I'm doing a week and watch tomorrow. Well, I'm doing it on Wednesday. But definitely live on Tuesday when I'm going to my mum's, assuming there's not 15 million foot of snow or 500 20 odd miles deep snow, in which case I won't be going to my mum's. But yeah, we will see how that one pans out. So look after yourselves, stay safe, don't do anything I wouldn't do. I'll be seeing you. Until next time. There can't be World War III yet, Strictly only finishes at Christmas. Was it the opera singer who got kicked out tonight? I only literally caught the last 30 seconds of it, when they're all dancing around them. But he should have got kicked out last week apparently, although I don't watch it. I hope Chris wins though, because it'd be nice to have a blind person win. I saw it on Gogglebox when they turned the lights off. Yeah, the Welsh guy, yeah. The handy guy. Yeah, him. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time.